a florist sent a flower arrangement to a priest friend of his who had been changed to another parish. And later in the day, the florist paid a visit to the priest, who thanked him for the floral arrangement, which had a ribbon on it that read, "With my deepest sympathy." Now, the florist was shocked because he knew he had obviously made a mistake. But the pastor assured him that he appreciated the flowers, and he said, "It really doesn't matter." And the florist said, "But Father, it does matter. You don't understand. The floral arrangement meant for you must have gone to the funeral home down the block. And what will the people in the funeral party think when they see this big floral arrangement next to the casket of their loved one that reads, 'Good luck in your new location'?" Hey folks, when we die, we really do change our location. We go from here to somewhere else. And hopefully that somewhere else, that new location, will be the kingdom of heaven. On Thursday, we celebrate the feast of the Ascension. We will recall the day that Jesus ascended into the kingdom of heaven. And I am sure that on that day, our thoughts will be directed to the kingdom of heaven. A father was reprimanding his little son who had been very naughty. And he said to his son, "Look, Dennis, if you don't behave like a good little boy, you won't go to heaven." And the boy started to cry and said, "But Daddy, I don't want to go to heaven. I want to go with you and Mommy." Hey folks, hopefully, all of us want to go to heaven. And please God, we will all someday get there. They tell the story of a group of American tourists who were visiting Hawaii. And they had just finished a tour of one of the beautiful islands there. And at the end of the tour, one elderly American woman yelled out, "My goodness, this island is so beautiful. It's just like heaven." And a native Hawaiian man who overheard this turned to a companion and said, "Wow, these American tourists have been everywhere." No, folks, they have not been to heaven. No one has seen heaven, not even me. And if you were to listen to some of my confreres, I never will see it either. So I can tell you that I do not know what heaven is like. But I am certain that it will be a place of unbelievable happiness. For what is it that St. Paul once said? "Eye has not seen, nor ear heard, nor has it entered into the heart of man what God has prepared for those who love him." In an episode of my favorite comic strip, Peanuts, it is Saturday morning in the Van Pelt household, and Linus and Lucy are sitting in front of the television set. And Lucy turns to Linus and says, "Go get me a glass of water." And Linus looks a little surprised and says, "Why should I do anything for you? You never do anything for me." And Lucy says, "I promise you that on your 75th birthday, I will bake you a cake." Linus gets up, heads towards the kitchen, and says to himself, "Life is more pleasant when you have something to look forward to." You know, my friends, life is more pleasant when you have something to look forward to. It is extremely pleasant in time of suffering when things are not going too well for us. because we can look forward to heaven. And I think heaven is some place worth looking forward to. You know, in the last years of my mom's life, she suffered greatly from arthritis. Her hands were so gnarled by that affliction, she could barely hold a knife or a fork. I recall when I would go home every week to visit her, I used to have to unscrew the tops of any bottles that had that screw-off top because she couldn't do it. She relied completely on a walker to get around the house. Even then, she was in pain. And eventually, she had to go into a wheelchair whenever we went out. And it was ironic because she always loved to walk. She loved to walk. But I remember one time we were in Brooklyn and I was pushing the wheelchair for her. And she looked up and she said, "Charles, when I get to heaven, I am going to run and leap like a young deer." Folks, when I picture my mom in heaven, you know what? I'm picturing her running around like a young deer without any hint of her former affliction. See, that's what heaven will be like. In heaven, there's not going to be any arthritis, no lameness, no blindness, no cancer, no heart disease, no problems, no worries of any kind. I think how wonderful it's going to be for all those who now suffer from some illness. And then when we talk about heaven, there is one joy that I am really looking forward to. In the delightful book, Children's Letters to God, 6-year-old Billy writes this: "Dear God, I would like to go to heaven someday because I know my big brother won't be there." Friends, I'm going to tell you something. I would like to go to heaven because I know that my big brother John will be there, along with my mom, my dad, my relatives, and so many of my friends and confrères who have gone before me. Yesterday, I had an opportunity to visit our community cemetery in Princeton, New Jersey. And as I walked up and down the aisles, I saw all those names, the names of confrères whom I missed so much. And even though I was sad, I thought to myself, hey, they're in heaven, and someday, please God, I will be with them. So today is Memorial Day. Today we remember and honor those brave men and women who sacrificed their life defending our country. I think today's a good day to remember all our beloved dead. And what we should remember is, you know what? They're really not dead. They are alive and well and living in the kingdom of heaven that we are now talking about. I do have one final thought. You know, before Jesus entered into heaven, he promised to be with us always, especially when our journey to heaven became a difficult one. In other words, especially in time of suffering. And I think that when we come here to the shrine, we are reminded that not only is Jesus with us, but so is our Blessed Mother. A policeman in Atlantic City tells this story. He says that one day while he was walking along the boardwalk, he came across a little girl who was sitting by herself and crying uncontrollably. And he said to her, "Little girl, have you lost your mother?" And he says that to his surprise, her response was, "No, my mother lost me." Folks, here we are. We're children of a mother who cannot lose her children. We are the children of Mary, our Blessed Mother. And indeed, if we remain devoted to her, if we are assured of her presence in our life. And I can assure you right now, such that she will never lose us on our journey in life, a journey that she will make sure ends in the kingdom of heaven, to where Jesus went on that first Ascension Thursday.